Yo, what is up guys? It is me, LJP Studios, back with another video, and today I am doing something slightly different because I did just want to step away from the Middlesbrough slash the Aston Villa career mode. I wanted to do something else, and I'm going to start off with a new series, and it's going to be me giving you career mode recommendations. And as you can see, first off, it is indeed Clermont Foot, and now Clermont Foot actually is a team a team in the second tier of French football. They did actually used to be in the top tier of French football not that long ago, but they got relegated and to the second league of France. And they actually this season that that just passed, where Sunderland got promoted to the Premier League, they finished, I think, two places off bottom of the second French tier. So yeah, they're going through some difficult times at the moment, but that is not the sole purpose why I am recommending um recommending them to you. Um, Now don't get me wrong. On paper, it's not the best side. It's not very good, but as you've seen from the team already, there are lots of good players, um, good young players at the team. But what they also do is they don't do this to every player, but a lot of the time they actually loan out some of their better players. Obviously, not all of them, but yeah, as you can see, Maury, Dior, Andy Pelmard, Corfrier. So they don't just keep in good players. They do actually loan them out. So that could be something to look at. But that isn't the only. Yet again, that's not the only reason that I'm doing this. Um, but yeah, the main reason I'm doing this is if you look at their transfers over the past few, like this summer window and the last summer window, they've actually not paid any money for a single signing. Now this is because um, the owner of the club, they wanted to spend less, I guess. Um, yeah, they wanted to spend less on transfers and use the money for something better. So yeah, they've done this by making their signings only free agents, or um, or making them loans. So what I'd recommend for this is, as I'm doing this right now, you actually go through the free agents, and you actually choose. Um, you just sign players that you think would fit. Now, I would have recommended to do a live starting point, just so it's not the same free agents, like you get a bit of uniqueness of the players available. But unfortunately, they are in the second tier of French football, which, as recording, it's not actually available for you to do a live start point. So you do have no choice on the matter, and you do actually have to start the season. So you could do free agents, you can do people that are listed for loan as well, but typically there aren't as many good options as it when it comes to people for loan. So I wouldn't recommend that. And you can also, if you go to the scout report section and you press, well, for PlayStation, you press square, which is view instruction, and you add a new instruction, you go contract, maximum to 1, and then you go back, you can actually click on that, and then it will have players with an expiring contract, as you can see. Now, during the season, this may change because people can renew their contracts. You know that when their contract runs out, they're not just going to be guaranteed to be a free agent. So you will have to you will have to check that frequently. But yeah, that is another method you could do. And then when you get to January transfer window, if you go onto this section and it does still say contract expiring in like 6 months or whatever, you can get them on a pre-contract before they are available in the free agent section. Now, other teams can also do this, so you will just have to be mindful of that. So they're not always going to choose you um, as their like first team, if you will. And so yeah, I think that makes it a fun little challenge because a lot of the time career modes they can solely focus on um, big signings and like expensive players. And I know in like the Middlesbrough career mode you had Illing Jr. as the marquee man, if you will, and but with Clermont Foot, it's not it's not about marquee signings. You don't want to go to the free agent section and sign like Reyes and Herving Lozano. You'd want to go for the people that I wouldn't say like people that are 50 rated or 60 rated, but you want to go for the ones that would actually would make a bit of a difference. So yeah, and when people do challenges like free agents, they tend to like ignore the youth academy section. Now, I personally believe that you should use the youth academy, but that's completely up to you. Um, yeah, because Clermont Foot they prioritize like free players, but they don't they still integrate their youth academy. So yeah, you can still go for them, and I'd also say until you get promoted to League One, you can't sign anyone better than your best player. So if you go back to the squad, um, I already know the rating of the best player, so you wouldn't be able to sign anyone above the overall of 72. So that makes it a little bit more difficult and gives it a fun little challenge because if you go to the free agent section, a lot of the ones that you probably would have wanted are now out the window. Like, let's go down. Munir, you can't get him. Um, Gallardo, you can't get. McNair, you can't get. Reyes, Sanchez, Chavez, Fruc. So yeah, you're gonna have to be careful about the ones that you sign, because you won't be able to get a player above 72 overall for now. Um, I was gonna say you never know, the players might actually, they might grow a bit, but there's not really a chance of that happening because the players are 72, well, they are 72 overall, but the likes of Gaston, the likes of Dior, they're actually really quite old players, so they probably won't be growing much more, and that's another strategy that they do with free agents. Don't always focus on the best young players because if you actually look at the team that Clermont Foot have, a lot of the players are actually quite old. They do have a very aging squad. So I would recommend if you do use the youth academy, the youth academy section, that when they get promoted to the first team, make sure that they go out on loan because yeah, if you do go onto the squad hub and look at the age, not all of them, but I'd say 90% of the better players are they're not ridiculously old, but they are getting there. As you saw earlier, the two best players are above the age of 30. Now they do have some good younger players, like they've got a good young, I believe, a defender out on loan. Um, and they have a good 27-year-old, I believe, in the team. I can't remember who that is. So yeah, you don't have to, but I would also recommend focusing on the older players just to keep it a bit more realistic. But if not, that's fine. And if you do want to sign younger players, I would also recommend taking them out on loan. Um, and also, until you get promoted to League, and if you get an offer from a team in the top five leagues, so you've got the Premier League, the Bundesliga, Serie A, Liga, and La Liga, you have to accept it no matter what, just because obviously they're a bigger team, and when you get to League One, that doesn't have to stand. But just to keep it realistic, because the big leagues do have priority, if you will, over the smaller players in the smaller leagues. So yeah, that's what I'd suggest, um, to for you lot to do, because I think that makes it more of a challenge, if you will. Um, you know, because a lot of the time you get your best players, and you just say no, he's not leaving me, he's staying, and we actually see that in my Middlesbrough career mode, and I'm referencing that again, when, well, even before Van den Berg wanted to leave the club, he was getting lots, well, not lots, I can't honestly remember how many it was exactly, but he was getting offers from bigger sides. Now I said that I wanted him for like, as he was a long-term member for like my plan at Middlesbrough, and obviously that didn't really work because I joined Aston Villa. But that's not the point. Um, I wanted him for the long term, so I rejected all those offers, and I said as well that I'd reject the big offers for as long as I could, so he could remain a part of my plan for as long as possible. But with Clermont Foot, that won't be the case. If you get an offer from a big side, well, a side in the big leagues, um, then you will have to reject it just to create it a bit more realistic. Now, again, that is also optional because that isn't one of their rules in real life. I just think that that makes it a bit more of a challenge, um, just to spice it up a bit. Because I also see a lot of the time people they sign players, and that's it. That's theirs for the rest of the career mode. And say they're a championship side, and let's say Real Madrid makes a big offer. More often than not, they will actually reject that offer just because they want to see that player in the long term at the club, and they don't want them to leave. But if you're doing a realistic career mode, that's often like not the case. You get a big offer from for a championship player. They 9 times out of 10 they don't want to stay at the championship side. You saw it with Borja Signs of Norwich. Um, he joined Porto. Was it? Yeah, I believe it was Porto a couple of days ago. It might have been yesterday or the day before. And that's a prime example of the players doing well in the championship and then leaving for a bigger club. And you see it all the time over the years. You saw it with Chuba Akpom of Middlesbrough leaving to go abroad, um, and then who else? Jaden Philogene moving to the Premier League after a good little spell with Hull. Alex Scott of Bristol City moving to Bournemouth. You know, you you create the players in the lower leagues to so they're as good as possible for the bigger leagues. And I'd also say especially is that'd be the case with the younger players, so a youth academy player. So say if I promoted one of these players right that I'm using right now, and let's say Even if it was like a lower team in the Premier League, like let's say Everton, or yeah, someone like yeah Everton, let's say, I'd probably more likely than not I'd accept that because that's what they'd want that move to the Premier League or a higher division. Now, despite this, I would also say maybe accept it for championship players as well because the quality difference in like France and England is very different, and I would say that the quality of French football is a bit less than English football. So I would say the average team in the championship is better than the average team in the second tier in France. So I would suggest if you get an offer in season one from like Luton or Sheffield United or Leeds or Burnley or someone like that or maybe even Sunderland, I would accept it. I wouldn't even try and negotiate more just because the player would want the player wouldn't care about the transfer fee. They just care about joining the bigger club because they would get more of an opportunity to grow and develop and become a bigger star as they possibly could. So yeah, for that reason, I would say that if you get an offer from a big team, even if it's from like a Turkish league, to accept that, just or like the MLS or I don't really know the Dutch league or the Portuguese league. Only for like the first season. Well, maybe longer than the first season, just until you get to that illustrious. Is that the right word? What's I don't feel like that is the right word. The important and the first tier of French football, and then if you have a player, that's your decision to do what you like with them. But yeah, that the best bit of advice is for this save is make sure you do use free agents only, um, people that are out listed for loan. I mean, even if they're not listed for loan, you could still loan them in, or on an expiring contract, or from the youth academy. So I might say, um, if we go to my youth academy, if I wanted to say I want Robert Han in the team, I'd promote him and not have a worry because a lot of the time if you do a free agent only, you just release all of these players and not focus on youth academy. But that's not the case with Clermont Foot. You can use any people with an expiring contract, any people if they're on loan, um, or anybody that is a free agent. I think I already said that. So that's the four types of players you can have apart from the original starting team: free agents, expiring contract, loans, and youth academy. And I know I mentioned it earlier, but this is just proof that this is a very aging side. Whilst you do have some younger players, none of them are really exceptionally good. The only alright one so far is Johan Corre, but he's on loan. I mean, you do have Sheikh Kanate, Tuane, but yeah, there's not really any standout ones. You've got some alright 22-year-olds like Ndiaye and Habib Keita. If you look at the other end, look at that. That is very interesting side. Some of the best players that we have are old, like Damien Da Silva, Gaston, Savet, Salmia, Dior, GA2, excuse me, Bamba. You know they're all getting older, if you will. So yeah, that's what I would do if I were you. Um, try maybe focus on the slightly aging players. Um, but if you see a good young player that does interest you, then be sure to go for it. But yeah, if I was paying a bit more attention like this, I would have accepted, because it's a big team making an offer for him. But that was just me not being very observant on what else was going on. But yeah, that's been it for today's video. I know it's a bit of a shorter video, and I know it's a bit of a different concept, if you will. It's not my typical video, but I do want to take a break from just, you know, doing rebuilds. I do want to give some ideas and maybe play some other games. So comment down below what you want to see in the future, and I guarantee you I will do it. If not, I'll do another concept like this. If you have another suggestion about one of these, comment down below as well, and I will be sure to do it. I do have a couple in mind because I don't just want to do like the obvious one, like Athletic Bilbao. I do want to do other ones, and I do have a couple in mind. And I will also give some other suggestions as well, um, like not just recommendations of what to do. I will actually give tips on like teams to use as well that maybe don't get used as much, I guess. And then I'll also do a series where I do an underrated team, so maybe a team that maybe doesn't get used as much as some other teams. Uh, so yeah, if you like the sounds of any of if you like the sound of any of that, comment down below, and I will do that as well. But for now, like if you have enjoyed, subscribe if you are new or if you haven't already. Yet again, comment down below what you want to see in the future, whether it's another video like this or another career mode style video, another thing on EAFC or just a completely new game in general, and I'll see you for another video very soon. Goodbye.